Ghana is often celebrated as a symbol of African pride, resilience, and independence. A country rich in culture, history, and natural resources, it stands today as one of West Africa's most recognized nations. But beneath this story of progress lies a deeper and more complicated question, one that continues to spark debate among historians, economists, and everyday people alike. Before it became Ghana, it was known as the Gold Coast, a land that attracted foreign interest for centuries because of its vast wealth in gold and other resources. Over time, this interest turned into control, and that control became colonization. Colonization is often presented in two very different ways. Some argue that it introduced systems that helped shape modern nations, things like formal education, infrastructure, and organized governance. Others argue that it disrupted societies, exploited resources, and left lasting damage that still affects countries today. So where does the truth lie? Was colonization a stepping stone that helped Ghana develop into what it is today? Or was it a system that took far more than it ever gave back? To answer that question, we need to go beyond simple opinions. We need to look closely at what was introduced, what was taken, and what was left behind. Because the story of colonization in the Gold Coast is not just about the past, it's about understanding the present. There is no denying that colonization brought visible changes to the Gold Coast. When the British established control, they introduced systems and structures that did not previously exist in the same organized form. One of the most commonly mentioned contributions is infrastructure. Roads and railways were developed, connecting different parts of the colony. These made transportation easier and allowed goods to move faster across regions. Ports were expanded, making trade more efficient and increasing the Gold Coast's role in global commerce. Education is another area often highlighted. Formal schooling systems were introduced, creating opportunities for literacy and structured learning. So over time, this led to the emergence of an educated class, individuals who could read, write, and engage with global ideas. Some of these individuals would later play key roles in leadership and governance. Healthcare systems also began to take shape during this period. Hospitals and clinics were established, bringing forms of modern medicine that were not widely available before. While access was limited at first, these developments laid the groundwork for future improvements in public health. Administrative systems were also introduced. The British implemented structured governance, legal systems, and bureaucratic processes. These systems created a sense of order and laid a foundation that would later influence how the country was governed after independence. From this perspective, colonization appears to have accelerated development. It connected the Gold Coast to the global economy, introduced new technologies, and created systems that still exist today in modified forms. But this is only one side of the story, because when we look closer, a more complex reality begins to emerge. The hidden cost of colonization. While colonization introduced development, it is important to ask a critical question: who was that development really for? Much of the infrastructure that was built, especially railways and roads, was designed with one primary goal in mind: the extraction of resources. Gold, cocoa, timber, and other valuable materials were transported from the interior to the coast, where they could be shipped to Europe. These systems were not created to serve local communities first. They were designed to serve the needs of the colonial economy. This meant that while the land produced immense wealth, a significant portion of that wealth did not remain in the Gold Coast. Instead, it flowed outward, enriching the colonial power while leaving local populations with only a fraction of the benefits. Labor conditions also tell an important part of the story. Many Africans worked under harsh and demanding conditions in mines and plantations. The labor was intensive, the rewards were limited, and the control often rested in the hands of colonial authorities and foreign companies. Beyond economics, there was also a cultural impact. Traditional systems of leadership and governance were weakened or replaced. Indigenous practices and belief systems were often discouraged or labeled as inferior. Over time, this created a shift in identity, where foreign systems were seen as superior to local ones. Language, education, and religion all played roles in this transformation. While they provided new opportunities, they also contributed to the gradual erosion of certain cultural elements. This created a complex legacy, one where progress and loss existed side by side. Social structures were also affected. Power became concentrated in new ways. often favoring those who adapted to colonial systems. This sometimes created divisions within communities, as access to education and opportunity was not equally distributed. So while development did occur, it came at a cost. And that cost was not always immediately visible, but its effects have lasted for generations. The road to independence. Over time, awareness began to grow. People started to question the systems around them. They began to recognize the imbalance between what was being taken and what was being given. This growing awareness led to movements for change. Educated Africans, influenced by both local experiences and global ideas, began to push back against colonial rule. They called for self-governance, equality, and the right to control their own resources and future. These movements were not easy. They required organization, courage, and persistence. Voices grew louder, and the demand for independence became impossible to ignore. This period marked a turning point in history. It was no longer just about development or control. It became about freedom and identity. In 1957, the Gold Coast became Ghana, marking a historic moment as one of the first African countries to gain independence from colonial rule. This moment symbolized more than just political freedom. It represented the reclaiming of a nation's voice. But independence did not erase the past. The systems, structures, and impacts of colonization did not simply disappear. Instead, they became part of the foundation upon which the new nation had to build. The lasting legacy today. The effects of colonization can still be seen in many aspects of Ghanaian society. The education system, legal framework, and administrative structures all carry influences from the colonial period. In some ways, these systems have provided stability and continuity. In other ways, they have required adaptation to better reflect local needs and realities. Economically, Ghana continues to navigate challenges that are connected to its history. The focus on exporting raw materials, for example, can be traced back to colonial economic patterns. Shifting toward more diversified and self-sustaining growth has been an ongoing effort. Culturally, there has been a strong movement to preserve and celebrate identity. Traditions, languages, and customs remain an important part of Ghanaian life, even as the country continues to evolve in a globalized world. The legacy of colonization is not simple. It is layered, complex, and often contradictory. It includes elements of progress and elements of loss. It has shaped institutions, influenced opportunities, and left questions that are still being explored today. So, did colonization help Ghana? The answer is not a clear yes or no. It introduced systems that contributed to development, but those systems were often designed with different priorities. It created opportunities, but also imposed limitations. It brought change, but that change came with consequences. Perhaps the more important question is not whether colonization helped or harmed, but how its effects continue to shape the present. Because history is not just about what happened, it is about what remains. And in the case of Ghana, that story is still being written. So in the end, one question remains. Did Ghana gain more than it lost, or lose more than it gained?